Creekside fam, let's talk blending. Creekside Customs. It's mail call day because we just got in the latest iterations and samples for the next Creekside Customs release coming out in March from the Cremo Cigar Factory in Miami, Florida. And I'm really excited to smoke through these, see how they're evolving and changing as we tweak the blend, and talk to you guys a little bit about how we blend Creekside Customs here at Creekside. All right, so the whole idea of customs dates back to the early 1900s when businessmen and royalty from the Middle East would come to Cuba and have specific cigar rollers that they went to that blended and made cigars just for them. Most of the time, these were delivered in half wheels, wrapped in newspaper, kind of like a bigger version of this. And the way that you knew what the blend was there was a signature that the roller would have, whether it's a twisted cap, like you see here, or maybe the closed foot, like you also see here. It let you know whose signature spin was put on the blend. So we started this customs idea with the principle of sharing small batched, limited edition cigars with all of you, that we have an opportunity to sit down with master blenders and cigar rollers and make cigars that we think are awesome, share them with you all, get feedback, and do it again every 3 months. If you haven't already, ding, 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 go to creeksidecigarco.com and sign up for our customs subscription, or you can buy our latest Creekside Customs called Citizen right there online as well, delivered in 10 packs. But this is for the first release of 2025. So what I'm gonna do is get right into these. I have not smoked any of these yet. As you can see, they are all full. And I'm gonna go through, light each one, tell you guys kind of how I go about doing this, give you some of my initial thoughts and feedback on the blend. First things first, when I reached out to my good friend Walter at Cremo Cigars, I'm grabbing a cutter. I don't normally do this, people, but I'm doing it today. When I reached out to Walter, I told him I wanted a really, really delicious Habano medium plus blend. Walter sources some amazing tobacco from Oliva Tobacco Company, not to be confused with Oliva Cigars. And he always gets his hands on beautiful wrapper leaf and incredibly balanced, well-aged filler. So this first blend that I asked for was a Habano Claro wrapper, so something a little lighter, but still a Habano shade, and then all Nicaraguan filler and binder, with 50% of the filler being Seco. So the way that a tobacco plant works is you have your top primings, which is Ligero, then the middle of the plant is called Viso, and the bottom of the plant is called Seco. Seco, generally speaking, has the least amount of oils, sunlight, and power. You get more balance and sweetness, smoke combustion out of it, and then as you go up in the plant, you get a little more of that life and body. So this one, I wanted a really more of a straight medium, so that's why I had him put so much Seco in this. And I should say, actually, the binder is not Nicaraguan, it's Ecuadorian. A couple things to note right off the rip. I had him put a closed foot on this. I always do closed foot on samples so I can taste the wrapper right away. Sometimes I even end up leaving the cigar with a closed foot, even when we go into full production, because I think it's that exciting, if it really complements the blend, to be able to taste the wrapper in the first 2 puffs. And I think it looks awesome. And then the other thing to note is that these are about 2 weeks post-roll. So as time goes on, these are gonna develop more, they're gonna dry out a little bit more, the oils are gonna settle in with each other, and the cigar is gonna change. I find that when you're using really well-aged tobacco materials, even at 2 weeks old, you can get a pretty good feel for what the cigar is gonna taste like 2-3 months from now. Right away, construction quality is incredible. The weight of the cigar, easy to pull on. One thing I really love about Cremo Cigar Factory is it is old school Cuban style, the way that they produce cigars. So in a lot of cigar factories, you have a buncher that puts the filler and the binder on the cigar, and then they work in a pair with somebody else who's putting the wrapper on the cigars. Here at Cremo, one roller does the entire cigar. And really for us, one roller is doing the entire production of the Creekside Customs release. You don't get that everywhere. They roll it in tubo style, which is just the way that they fold the tobacco as it's being blended, which really helps with airflow and not having plugged cigars. And I really love this idea that one person is kind of responsible for the start, creation, and finish of this product. This is off to a great start. Sweet, medium bodied, no strength right now, which for a cigar that's only 2 weeks old is pretty impressive. Low on the strength, Got this like nice oaky caramel kind of cinnamon thing going on, which I love. And the foot smoke, which is something else that I really, really look at when I'm working on a cigar. The smoke coming off of the foot of this cigar, the aroma is really bright and kind of candied, almost floral smelling. Really delicious so far. Even Chris behind the camera is saying that the cigar smells different, so this is a good sign. Already, first transition in this cigar, and look how far. I'm like, what is that, half an inch into it? I mean, you could arguably call it the second transition, since that closed foot was a totally different flavor than this first half inch. But it is smoking really nice, not getting too hot. It is so clean. I love this like cinnamon candy foot smoke that keeps coming off of it. I'm really liking this one. What I like to do though, when we get 3 samples in of something, especially when we have enough to kind of smoke through these a handful of times, is to pretty quickly light the next one up and see the differences, light the next one up and see the differences, especially since these 3 blends are not too far off. So the next 2, sample 2, sample 3, both of these have a different wrapper, shade. So they're still Habanos, but they're Oscuro level. So you have the Claro here, which is a lighter wrapper. You have the Oscuro, which is almost a Maduro. I'll take it out and show you all so you can see. So about another shade and a half darker than the one that I'm currently smoking. I kept the blend the same on the second one, so I could see how the wrapper shade influences the blend. And then the third one added in some Dominican tobacco and took down the Seco, amped up the Ligero and Viso for more body and power. So let's light this one up and see what's happening right away off the rip. I also love going with these Bics when I'm smoking samples. I don't know why. There's just something about them. I mean, right off of that, totally different cigar. And all we're changing here is the wrapper. So this one really starts off more minerally, little like cocoa powdery. I would arguably say sweeter, like this hickory smoke sweetness coming out of it, like chewy, heavier. And this is with a wrapper change. What I like to do here is I'll get it to about where I smoked this other one, so I can compare these first kind of inch into the cigar. Then I'll light the third, do the same, and then I'll kind of spend the rest of the morning going through each third of the cigars, which we're not gonna do this whole video on that, but I'll get us through the first half inch of each one, talk to you guys about what I'm tasting. And if you have questions, people, you've been doing a great job of asking these questions on YouTube. Drop them in the comments, would love to answer anything you have. And here's what I'm thinking, for those of you still watching, I'm gonna save one of each of these blends, put them in a bag. As long as you make a comment on this video, we're gonna do a randomizer. We'll pick one person and we'll ship them one of each of these samples so you guys can kind of experience this blending process that I'm going through right now. I'm feeling generous today. Also great aroma, foot smoke coming off of this. A little darker, a little sweeter. Not that like bright floral cinnamony thing happening with blend 1, but really delicious. My current thoughts on this one, it's heavier. So right away, it's not as clean. However, I'm not really concerned with that yet, given it's only 2 weeks old and using heavier tobacco, a darker wrapper. It feels a little more wet than the other one. This could just need another week or so to kind of dry out, have the oils come together, which would help with this kind of like heaviness that I feel on my palate. But from a flavor standpoint and a construction standpoint, it's tasting really, really good. All right, let's light up the third one and see. This one I'm really interested to see the difference because it's the same wrapper as the one I'm currently smoking, but it's a different blend. It brings in some Dominican tobacco, but same wrapper brings in Dominican Piloto Viso tobacco. Dominican Piloto is one of the most, I would say, widely used tobacco varietals in the Dominican Republic. Don't quote me, but quote me on that one. I've used it in a lot of cigars over the past handful of years, and it's a little heavier, but it brings in a really nice like structure and balance to a cigar, especially when the rest of it is all Nicaraguan and that Ecuadorian binder, which I really love using Ecuadorian binders because they kind of take a backseat to the rest of the blend, but they're great for combustion and for not influencing the blend too heavily, letting the filler and the wrapper really take that. I'm through that first hit of the closed foot, so I'm really into the cigar with the filler. Really oaky, more dense and heavy than the first one, closer to the profile of the second one, but this oak is kind of taking a main stage, which I'm gonna attribute to the Piloto. I always find it to be a little drier too, but it's like this wet wood in a good way. I don't want you guys to think that's in a bad way. Now, if that took over the whole profile, I would say negative, don't like this one, move on to another blend. But currently, as I'm just starting this, that kind of chewy, wet oak, there's a little bit of this like cinnamon candy thing happening with it as well. It's quite interesting. And sometimes you want that like more chewy smoke output, heavier on the palate. This one's definitely cleaner on the palate than number 2, even with it being in the same like category of body and strength. And the one thing I didn't clarify, these are all 5 1/4 by 50 cigars. Favorite size to blend in is either a 5 by 50 classic Robusto or 5 1/4, which what I appreciate about 5 1/4, you get a little more. So that way, if you ever end up wanting to do it in a different size, like you want to extend the length to be more of a Toro, you have a better idea of what it's going to taste like in a Toro, but you're not compromising it too much to where you have no idea what it's going to taste like in like smaller format cigars. However, I do want to release this one in this exact size, so that's why we're really blending in this size. I've got my work cut out for me today. Like I said earlier, drop a comment on this video. I'm gonna pick one comment. We're gonna put them through a randomizer. I'll pick one winner. I'll send you one of each of these cigars so you can experience the Creekside Customs blending process alongside of us here. I'm gonna finish smoking through these and see if there's any tweaks to be made. And if not, get one of these bad boys into production for our March Creekside Customs release. But until next time, I'm Dave with Creekside, encouraging you to smoke in good company. See y'all soon. Peace.